Welcome to Season 2 of Producer Points. My name is Justin Gamella, and I'll be your host. I'm a producer and songwriter who's had the honor of working with some of the best in the industry. This season, we're diving even deeper into one-on-one conversations with producers, mixers, songwriters, and artists, exploring their unique journeys, creative process, and insights that shape great music. Join me for real talks, straight from the studio, where music and life intersect. This is Producer Points. Today on Producer Points, we're thrilled to welcome a producer and songwriter whose work defines what it means to create impactful, modern productions. Hailing from North Carolina and now based in Los Angeles, he's collaborated with an impressive lineup of artists, including Ian Dior, Machine Gun Kelly, Travis Barker, Kiana Lede, Kayla Burns, Sat Alex, Carly Hansen, Chloe Lilac, and Sam Short. Whether it's the way his guitars bite or his drums smack, his productions always manage to grab your attention and hold it. Beyond his musical achievement, he's a genuinely kind soul and a fellow foodie, which makes this conversation even more exciting for me. Let's dive into the world of Joe Pepe. Dude, thank you for being here.
That's all I needed. Just that.
Just that. You can go now.
Thank you. That was so sweet.
No, dude. I meant every word of it. Yeah, dude, thank you for doing this. For our listeners, Joe's a recent friend. We haven't worked together yet, but we've been in touch on Instagram over the past couple years, just like here and there. Mm-hmm. And then we finally got lunch a couple months ago now.
Yeah, it was
right?
like July.
We had a wonderful lunch. And we've been friends ever since, just hanging out and doing the thing, texting. And I'm so glad you're here, and thank you so much for doing the podcast.
Thanks for having me. I'm a fan of the podcast already, so I was honored when you asked me.
Thank you so much. Dude, and I'm a fan of yours. You know, it's like, I've always been like seeing you on Instagram, like posting songs and just being like, damn, this guy's like pretty damn good.
Oh,
you know?
thanks, dude.
And it's great. And like, I got to dive in a little bit deeper into your production when you sent me over your playlist. And yeah, man, just like everything you're doing, it sounds so great.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
That means a lot because, you get in your head about it sometimes. Like,
of course. It's like, I think I'm shit every day.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And then something great happens. Like, oh, wow, it's working.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, no, the record's like, just like the engineering behind it too. Like, never mind even like the song, like everything just like sounds really good. That's what like gets me excited as a producer, right?
Yeah,
it's like a good song is so subjective, but like it's pretty not subjective when something sounds good.
Yeah. Thanks.
But dude, thank you for being here. As our listeners know, and I guess you know too, if you're a listener, we always start the podcast with how you got your start into music. So like, I know you're from North Carolina, but how'd you get all the way out to LA eventually?
Yeah. I feel like I've lived like 3 lives in the music industry, so I'm going to try to put it down to a couple minutes. Well, actually, I was born in Long Island.
Oh, you were? Oh, right, we talked about this.
I was born in Long Island,
because I'm from Long Island.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was born in Long Island, like Hauppauge.
Right.
But I only lived there till like 7 or 8. So moved to North Carolina, Charlotte, and that's where I spent my formidable years growing up, and, that's where I kind of found music and loved it. Yeah. And then I kind of just started playing in bands in high school, to be honest with you. Like, right my first year of high school, I started playing in a band with my brother and a buddy.
Your brother's also a music producer, right?
He is. Yeah, he's in like the alternative space. Yeah, like alternative rock stuff,
Yeah.
So, we both kind of were twins, so I guess it had to happen. So it kind of just started like with playing in bands. Right. And it was kind of weird because looking back on it, me and my brother and like a buddy that had like a studio out there, I was like, I was kind of always producing.
Right.
I was always the producer or like one of the
You didn't realize you were producing.
Right.
I'm the same way.
Exactly. I didn't realize that's what it was. But I was like, I'm like, looking back on some of that stuff, I'm like, that was like, I was producing those EPs and albums. And so my first band in high school was fucking god-awful. Just like bad pop-punk band, we wanted to be Blink-182 and Green Day so bad.
Everyone did.
Yeah, exactly. And then after high school, I started college. And then I started another band that actually did pretty well. And we just toured a bunch. Well, not a bunch, enough. Toured a bunch. And then Billboard magazine actually named us like number 2 unsigned band in the country.
Oh, sick.
And they put us on tour and then the magazine and on the Billboard Music Awards.
What was that project called?
Side by Side.
Okay.
Don't look it up.
Don't look it up. We can take it out.
It was like a pop rock band. It was cool.
I think it's fun, like, for like music producers and songwriters to hear like people's like early projects, even if it's like not up to standard, where it's like, okay, that's where you started from.
Right, exactly,
like, great.
Well, the thing is, like, that was the project that I was like, and again, I was like, me and my brother and a buddy at that time, it was like, a lot of those songs and demos like started in my productions. And just in my bedroom, right? So I was like, like, that was the first project that gave me confidence of like, maybe I am like decent at this because like it's on a national stage. Like they flew us out to Los Angeles. That was my first time in LA and did a photo shoot for the magazine. I'm like,
crazy.
Oh, this is like we didn't really bring it past my bedroom, basically. You know what I mean? Like our like little living room space. My buddy mixed it, but I was like, that was like, okay, maybe like this is pretty good.
This is real.
This is real. Like you know what I mean? It was like, and so that band broke up as they do, which was heartbreaking at the time because it's like, oh, this is it. This is the thing.
You think it's like your entire world?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it was like I got really depressed after that, honestly, because I was like, our lead singer went kind of wacky, but we had all these labels and managers from LA hitting us up. Obviously, you know, you're on the Billboard Music Awards, you know, it's gonna happen, and unsigned, and you know, and so that kind of came to an end, and so I was like, okay, what do I want to do? So I kept producing for people in Charlotte, you know, oddly enough, and a lot of like hip hop stuff, which is kind of like my thing I listened to the most, probably, or at least back then I was like super into hip hop, and I still am. And then eventually, oddly enough, over Instagram, I met Steve Rennie, who was Incubus's manager at the time. And him and I struck up a friendship, and I was helping with stuff like just online things.
Right.
And he flew me out to Los Angeles a couple of times to help at the offices. He was the manager. He was like, just come out here. Like, I know you want to be out here. Like, just come out here and help me with shit. And you can, like,
and
book
you'll
sessions.
be here.
You'll be here, right? Like, you can be here for a week. You know, book meetings, book sessions. I don't care. Just show up a few times and hang out with me and help and, you know, whatever.
That's amazing.
I was like, great.
Yeah.
And then on the last trip, he was like, have you ever thought about moving out here? Because I let him listen to some music I was working on. He was like, this sounds like, this is pretty good, dude. Like, have you thought about moving out here and, like, trying to give it a shot? I was like, I have. He's like, I'll tell you what. I'll give you like $25,000 a year to just work with me. You make your own schedule. You can do sessions. You can do whatever you want. Just help me in the office with stuff. And come out here and like just like see if it works for you. Like the worst thing that's going to happen is like you move back home after here, right? So I was like, okay. So I went back home and my fiance at the time, Jen, she was ready for a change. She was done with Charlotte. And so I saved up like $10,000 over like the next like 6 or 7 months. And we just moved out here. And then I got here.
That's such like an incredibly kind
thing to do. He is still, we still talk fairly often.
Yeah.
I still consider him family. He gave like me and my wife an engagement party at his house in Beverly Hills the first year I was here. He was the first person to be like, oh, like, he's like, it's funny, he's on the business side of stuff, but he was like a mentor in the sense of like just how to move in the music industry, right? You know what I mean? Just how to...
You don't have to be making music to understand how to do it.
Yeah, how to conduct. And he was like doing it on the A-level with Incubus, so I got to see it from an A-level standpoint of like these, you know, crazy stuff would happen. But he was the first person to really take me in as like family out here and be like, oh, hey, I can help you, like just because I like you and like you do good work, you know? That was really cool.
Right. I mean, wow, that's really incredible.
Yeah. So after about a year of working for him, he decided I've made a lot of money. I don't want to manage anymore. So he was like, I'll tell you what, I'll pay you for 3 months after I retire, and like severance, quote unquote. Right. You got to figure it out, kind of thing. You know, I was like, okay. He was like, I just want to fly around on my jet and like play golf.
Fair enough.
I'm like, fair, dude. You're like, you've done it. You've did everything there is to do. You know. So that's when I figured it out. And I was already doing sessions and stuff like that, but that's when I really started like heavy getting into like, okay, I really have to like figure this out on my own, you know? Right. And I worked crappy jobs from there. With kind of, you know, I take it, you know, I had to swallow my pride for sure, and like worked at my friend's juice shop for a few months. I drove some Ubers, blah blah. But you know, from there I just started figuring it out, and I did a lot of crappy sessions, and then eventually I met 1 or 2 people that I still work with today even, that were like, had a publishing deal, and like they, you know, kind of liked what I did, so they started putting me in other sessions with them, and like, you know how it happens, and then just like, then the snowball starts happening. After 2 years of doing like sessions I couldn't stand, all of a sudden it was my friend Brooke Day, who I still work with to this day, and she walked in the room and we automatically hit it off, and she, like I said, she had a publishing deal at the time, and her, you know, was just like, hey, you guys do good work together. Like, let me put you in with some other people. Like, let's keep working together. And then from that, I met another person. And from that, I met another person. You know what I mean? And they put me in more sessions. And it was literally just that. It's so fun. I can kind of trace all that work back to, like, kind of that 1 or 2 sessions that kind of like flip the coin.
I mean, dude, it's so funny you say that because, like, I was at representing Sona right now with my hat on here. I was at a Sona, like, mentoring event the other day. And it was just, like, a thing where I was in a room with, like, you know, songwriters and producers who are just starting out, and you like have like 10-minute one-on-one conversations with them. Yeah. And it was funny. It was just like the thing I kept telling, especially a lot of these like young producers, and I say it a million times on the podcast, is like good work begets good work, where it's like you do good work and then you're going to get recognized for it. And then it just kind of slowly builds on it. And what I keep telling people is that I think like people think it's like it takes so much faster than it actually does. Yeah. And it's like, you got to realize like you work with an artist and you write a good song, and maybe if that song comes out like 6 months after you do it, which is like a short time frame,
that's
right?
like the bare minimum,
that's short,
I feel like,
right? And then it takes some time for it to blow up, and then you start to get recognized. You start to get in those better rooms, and then those better songs come out, and now you're talking about like 2-3 years.
Yeah, because those better songs are bigger
Right.
teams, and those teams are gonna take longer to put the songs out.
Right. And I was telling people this, and they were like, "Wait, it takes that long?" I'm like, Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Like, you got to get a side job here.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to get paid for things. It takes a long time for, even like if you have a hit song that comes out today, you're not going to see the money from that hit song from like anywhere from 12 to 24 months from now.
Yeah.
So, this is just the nature of the music industry. But dude, that's an amazing, really inspiring story.
Yeah, my story is crazy. And then that's not even including everything that's happened.
Right, yeah. I mean, like,
I've been here for 9 years. That's like kind of the starting point of the last 9 years of like that.
When were you like able to like really start doing it like, like how you're doing it now, like full time? Like
I'd say 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So I I definitely spent like the first, I felt like, okay, so if I break it down, the first 2 years was really like I worked at Steve's office. I'm meeting a lot of people, just kind of getting where I can. Then that next year was like really just like heavy sessions. And then that's kind of at the tail end of that in Medbrook. So then it was like 2 more years of like really building, and like kind of working odd jobs, but making production money. So it was like half and half.
Right.
And then for like 5 years ago, I made it like, okay.
Like now that like, what was there like a catalyst of a song, or, you were working with someone that you were making money from that you were like, cool, I think I can do this.
I got a small publishing deal.
Great.
Right.
Okay.
So after that, I'd be like, okay, this is enough to safety net, like just to live on. It wasn't like a great one, right?
Yeah, you're
but
not balling out. Right?
Yeah, but I was like, oh, cool, this is it. I can like, you know what I mean? I don't remember how much it was, but it was like enough to be like, okay, like I can like do this full time now, pretty much. You know what I mean? And at the time I didn't have a baby, right? So,
the things I could have if I didn't have a kid.
Right, yeah. So I was just like, okay, cool, like this is enough to like kind of and I took that and just like ran with it. I just catapulted, and actually, oddly enough, that publishing deal came from me playing in a band out here.
Yo, crazy.
I played because I played bass and keys, and I was like, oh, let me just keep doing that because it was a good way to meet people still, you know what I mean? Just like playing shows and, and then, that's how that happened, which is really funny. You just never know how it's going to happen, you know what I mean? It wasn't even from sessions, so.
I mean, this is why it's like, I tell people all the time where it's like, say yes to almost everything.
Especially
like,
when you first come out here.
Yeah, when you first come out here, like if it's something that you really like, you listen to, you're like, I don't fuck with this.
Of course,
obviously don't do it. But like, don't say no to things because like you think they're small.
Yeah. I agree, because you don't know what the next thing
is.
You
never know what's going to
help you or what's going to happen. You just never. I've seen it so many times.
Or it's like it's just like sometimes you just hit it off with that person. You're like, oh my god, we make amazing stuff together.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the most important thing.
Yes,
I don't pay attention to. I get briefs for like sessions, like, hey, get into this or this writer. Yeah. First thing I listen to is the music great? Right. If I love the music, then I would say yes to pretty much anything. You know what I mean? And then if we're in the room together, do I like this person? Right. Can we spend a lot of time together? Because if I love the music, but I can't stand being in the room with them, I don't care. If I like them so much and the music's like, I can see a vision for it, I'm willing to put more time into it. Yeah. Because I like the person. I feel like we can actually start building together, There's a gray area.
And that's the thing. It's the building together.
But going back to what you said, I always tell people when they talk about moving out here, like, do it sooner than you think.
Yes.
Because everybody thinks, I'm going to move out there, and there's just things waiting for me, right? Yeah. I mean, and that is the thing about LA. There is things waiting for you, but you have to find those opportunities. And it takes way longer to get in that system of people and just, like, meeting people. And, like, it just takes way longer than people
There's
think.
this saying that, like, I don't know if it's still true today, but I feel like when I moved out here around 10 years ago, too.
Yeah.
Where everyone's like, if you can make it out here for a year, like, you can probably do the thing.
Yeah.
Right?
So people told me that, too.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you can just stay out here for a year, like, struggle, like, same thing. Like, I had a bunch of random part-time jobs that I was just like, all right, I gotta do that, I gotta do that, to make it work. I found jobs that I could work that were, like, kind of around sessions, right? So for listeners who may not know, like, LA sessioning is on average like 12 to 6, 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
Give or take. That's like when sessions are happening. And it's like, cool. Like, I found a job in the morning where I was working from like 6 to 11. And like, it sucked.
Yeah. But you did
like,
it.
I was able to do sessions every day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, like you figure it out and you just put the time in. And it's like, LA is a city that music city, right? Where I love it because, and this is kind of my thing that I have against Nashville, I feel like, where it's like, Nashville, I feel like you're there, like, people really want you to pay your dues.
Yeah.
Right? They're like, oh, you can't get in this room unless you're like here. And LA, it's like, you got to pay your dues a little bit, but if people think you're dope, they're like, I don't care.
Oh, for sure.
Like,
I actually think that's true.
Yeah.
I think that actually helps accelerate the process out here.
Oh,
That like if you are dope and you are good,
Yeah.
you know, I mean the talent's a given, but if you have something that's like a little intangible, anybody will give you a shot.
Yeah.
One or two sessions.
And
that
was that's my biggest criticism of Nashville, that I'm just like, you know, it's like the same people, you know, like gatekeeping and like.
Yeah, it took me a while to start getting in good sessions in Nashville.
Yeah.
I only go out there like once a year or so, or twice a year, but I've mostly from them, Nashville people coming here and working with them, and then you know what I mean, just bringing it about. Oh, I had a good session with Joe or with Justin, and they say, oh, cool, next time that he's in town, we should get him in this room and that room. You know, it's a tough city.
It's tough, and I love Nashville.
I actually really love that city.
Yeah.
Like it's so much fun when I'm there. You know, like for that week or week and a half that I'm there, I'm like, man, this is a great city. Like it's so fun. The food's great, and like all the people are so nice and genuine. But it's a tough city to break.
Yeah,
you know,
it's tough. But anyway, I could.
But some of my favorite people live there.
No,
Knox,
exactly.
Spencer Jordan, Cam Becker. Some of my favorite people are there. You know, so
I could praise and shit talk Nashville, just like the same way I can do that with Los Angeles.
Yeah, same thing.
Know,
I believe me, I have my gripes.
Exactly.
With LA, for sure. Don't get me started.
Oh no, there's always give and takes. Well, I want to dive into a little bit more about your process and how. You know, you get to your sound. You know, you really are, like, your genre-wise, you really do go all over the place. You do a lot of, like, alternative stuff, a lot of pop stuff, a lot of hip-hop stuff. The thing that I kind of spoke about in the intro, the thing that I feel like that catches my ear of stuff you've done is more of, like, the pop-leaning, like, alternative stuff.
Okay, cool.
Like, I love the guitar tones you're getting, the drums.
Oh, cool.
So, you know, let's just stick with organic instruments here for a second, the guitars, but, like, what's your normal process for... We'll stick with electric guitar first. Like, how do you normally get to record electric guitar?
It's just usually straight DI into my Black Lion.
Yeah. You like that thing?
I do.
Yeah, okay.
I used to go into my BA 1073,
Okay,
but then I kind of rewired some stuff so that just for vocals now, my BA. But I like the Black Lion because it's just like a really clean DI. Honestly.
Okay, yeah, I was curious. Like, is there a big difference between like the BAE one and the Black Lion?
I honestly did a shootout between them, and I mean the BA sounds like maybe like 10% better, but if I'm just looking for a clean guitar signal.
Right, then just go right.
Because I'm just gonna mess it up in the box anyway. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not looking for like these, but it is a good box. But I mean, it's just like it gets a really clean. It does what I needed to do.
Perfect. Yeah.
Just DI it right in there. You know what I mean? And then from there, like guitars, it's funny. I haven't been doing that much guitar stuff lately. It's been more like synth and stuff. But guitars, I have this process of, it depends on the song, right? If it's like,
of course.
If it needs like a rhythm guitar, then I'm gonna go with like the Koi Wong, you know, stuff, or I have Guitar Rig. I've made a bunch of my own things in Guitar Rig, you know, and like it's just easy to kind of drag and drop stuff. I always say like if I want to build a tone from the ground up, I usually go to Koi Wong because it's like it's just so clean and easy.
It's such a great starting point.
Yeah, and if I want something they had of a preset and then tweak from there, I usually open Guitar Rig. If that makes sense.
No,
you know what I mean?
That's like the best thing about Guitar Rig is that like the presets are ridiculous.
Yeah, they're really dope. Actually,
and it's like cool. Like I can find something in Guitar Rig.
I can just start clicking around. People are like, oh, I like that. Like, but if I have something in mind, I'm like, oh, you know what it needs is this kind of guitar tone with this kind of chorus, and then I'm like, okay, this might be a Koi Wong thing. Yeah. But then on top of that, you know, if it's like more of a I don't know what to say, like auxiliary part or like weirder thing, which I get really weird with my guitars a lot.
Yeah, which I admire. Yeah.
Dude, I just go so deep. And sometimes I go so deep, it's like I'll save them as channel strips in Logic. It's like, I'll never get back here. I do that with a lot, even with my synth and things like that. I'm like, I go so far down a rabbit hole. Then I'm like, I'm not gonna get back here on my own again.
Is that how you kind of like save a guitar? Like, let's say, because like, are you like me? Like, I'm a commit guy. I'm committing tracks.
I like to commit pretty fast.
Yeah, because like Logic, you can't. Like, that's one thing I love about Pro Tools. So like, I can commit and make the track inactive, and it's always there.
Yeah, you can do that in
You can do it.
Yeah, you can do it in Logic. That's what I do. I do bounce in place,
and then it's
audio, and then it just like mutes the track. I just put it at the bottom of the session.
Okay.
You know, so it's just like not even in sight. You know, but I need if I can get back to it. I do the same thing with my keys.
Yeah.
A lot of times I'll dial it in like exactly what I want, print it, and then keep messing with it after that. Right. You know, like but just so I know it's there.
I know. I only keep it sometimes on like the rare cases where it's like, oh, we like sped this up or we slowed it down or like, oh.
Sure, yeah.
Especially with like VSC instruments, like, oh, we're changing the key.
Yeah. Then,
and it's like, oh, I'd rather
it's easier
reprint.
To go back in MIDI. Yeah.
Right. And like reprint the MIDI.
But that's kind of for my guitars, yeah. For rhythms and things like that.
Right.
It's pretty much one of those two things. I don't have any mics or amps.
No, so you're just going all I mean, they all sound great, dude.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's like a lot of times what I'm doing is a little more esoteric than just like, oh, I just want a guitar tone. You know what I mean? It's like a little bit stranger than that a lot of times. Well, not even stranger, it's just like whatever I have in my head, it's like I know I can get there with it. So I don't even have any amps or anything like that because I'm like, I know what I need to do.
Right.
And then I'll put them in a subgroup. I'll bust process them a bit with like compression, API, just kind of like to make sure they're really hitting. There's a Corner Audio thing, AIP, I think it's called.
Okay.
It's really dope for guitars.
Oh,
it's
like the Plugin Alliance one?
No, it's a Corner. Do you know him?
No. Okay. Maybe
you should look him up. It's cool. It's like a cool little company. It's AIP. It's called. It stands for something. I don't remember what it is. Amplified something processing.
Okay.
And it's this compressor EQ. And it just sounds great on like guitar subgroups. I usually use them a lot.
Okay. I gotta check that out. I've been really into like the smaller company called Purified Audio.
No,
like Sampura.
I don't.
He makes this. He calls it like VU compressor, but it's just like I don't know. You should check them out. They're making like they're smaller up and coming plugin company, but everything they make is like really good.
Okay, cool.
And like every time I like open it up, everyone's like, "What's that?" Like that looks fun.
Yeah.
But okay, anyway, let me get back to this too. The other thing that I really loved are like hip hop, pop drums. Your drums are always fucking hitting. But like, they sound great. So like, what's like, do you like to group them and have like a drum bus process, or like, what's your normal like, go to?
Drums are like, if there was anything that was my thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to think I'm like pretty decent at everything, but like drums are like the thing that I get most nerdy about. Like that's the thing I dive the deepest in, because in my opinion, the drums define what kind of song you're making.
Yes.
It does. You could put a guitar loop and you can put over a live drum loop and it sounds like indie rock. You could put the same guitar loop over hip-hop drums.
And it's a different song.
It's a different song.
Yeah.
It gets a completely different audience. So I go super heavy in my drums, and I'm always, at least once or twice a week, I'm going through, I'm getting samples. I go sample digging, either for loops, like drum breaks that I'm chopping up, or just like go and splice and get like a new pack, or just go dig on like Reddit is great, like so good.
Oh, really?
Dude, Reddit's like the cheat code. If you just put in like Charlie XCX drums Reddit, there's somebody out there that's either made it and or like ripped it, like and it is that. It's like, oh, that is the snare I need, like that. Reddit's so good for that stuff.
I gotta check that out.
808, same thing. There's like a whole sub community of like people on there
that are just like sharing things.
It's called like Reddit / drum kits, or sometimes it's Reddit / production or whatever. And there's a whole subgroup of people that are just like making packs for free and just putting it up on like Mega Download.
Yeah.
And it's like these kids in the bedroom, honestly.
That's what oh god, they're so good.
Yeah,
they don't
great.
know what they're doing.
And they're either making it, like I said, or they're just chopping it out and like and like post-processing. But whatever it is, like I have so many packs that people are like, where do you get that sound? I'm like, dude, it's like this deep dive pack.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is Splice because I love Splice, but it's not always just like you think the go-to drum
It's not just Oliver, okay, guys?
Yeah, it's exactly. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not, So honestly, on my drum bus, I'm usually only using knock.
Dude, I've been hearing great things. I haven't like bought it yet, and I probably should have bought it over Black Friday.
You should get it.
Yeah,
that's
what everyone's telling me.
It did replace like pretty much my home drum bus.
I just started using the new one by Jason Jordan over there, Jason Joshua.
Oh yeah,
the Orion one.
I downloaded the trial and I was messing with it, and I was like, I like knock better, and I just didn't.
Damn, okay,
I don't know,
check it out. Yeah.
But that's just my personal taste too.
I haven't used it yet, so I don't know. I'm like, I've heard so many. Everyone's like, "Yo, this thing is really fucking good."
It is great. The soft clip on it's amazing, and the saturator. But it's just like, other than that, I hate to be so like basic, but it really is like just my sound choices on the drums.
No, that's
it really is. I hate to sound so cliche, but it really is. I go super heavy on like drum layers, like making sure everything's working together, and like either like and ear candy drums. I'm super big on like ear candy, like things you don't even know that's happening, but it's really pushing the tempo on the ups or the downs, whatever you feel it more than it is. And then I group them together, put knock on it, and I just dial that into my taste. And then, but it really is. But I'll spend. Anybody that's in session with me knows like the first thing we get like the main thing going, and the first thing I do is like I will dial in drums that I think are the drums for the day, and see what everybody thinks. Like, is this the vibe of what we're looking for? If not, like change out the sounds, change out the kick, whatever it is, dude.
Dude. I mean, that's the thing that's like I've learned from this podcast. Is like, funny enough, it's like I love asking drum questions because I feel like maybe this is how we should collaborate. Like, my drums are like my weakest part of my production. It's like the thing that it's like I struggle with the most because like everything else, like I'm such a player at first, so like. Top line and keys, guitars, and all that stuff comes so naturally to me.
Right.
And it's just like drums are just like so unnatural to me.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I think it's because maybe I played bass. I mean, I played bass in most bands, bass and keys. I'm not great at either of them anymore. To be honest, with you. People ask me what I play. I'm like Logic.
Yeah, it's like I'm very good at computer.
Yeah. There was another producer on here. I forgot who it was that said that.
Oh, like their instrument is like Ableton.
Cubase. He said it about.
Cubase,
he was like, "Oh, it's my instrument."
Oh, Lindgren.
Yeah, Lindgren. That's right. And I so felt that in my heart, because I'm like, yo, picked up. I'm pretty good, like whatever it is. But it's like the way I'm really shine is like in Logic and making just productions and drums and like even the sound I'm getting in there sound dope, right? Like I get the guitars in there, I get the keys in there, and they're gonna sound
great. And then
just like weird and cool because of my producer brain, what I'm doing to them in the box. You know what I mean? So I've learned how to like play the production more than I've tried to play.
Yeah, it's the arrangement and everything too. Because that's the thing that it's like, that's what I was alluding to before, where it's like I talk to these other producers and I'm like, what are you doing with drums? Because I don't fucking know what I'm doing. And it's just it always comes down to like everyone's like, yeah, like my drum bus is doing a little bit, but it's like it's my sound choices. It's the samples I'm picking, and it's and I've been doing it now more often too, just like speaking to everyone, where it's like whenever I'm done before I finish a song, I'll always like start playing with a kick or the snare, just like one last time. Just to like see like, okay, can I find a better sample?
Yeah.
Can I do this? Whole thing. But yeah, that's really what it is.
It is that.
Right.
I mean, and like a lot of times in the hooks, I'll layer up
Yeah.
some other snare on top of that or claps, and I'll get them offset on the grid, to make it feel like flammy, just like things to make each section to feel like its own part, is really important.
Are you doing any like side chaining, like to, blend like your kick and bass?
Almost always.
Yeah.
Almost doesn't matter what genre I'm doing.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
even
Just
I'm
to
doing
create
like a
that
folk
space.
thing today,
Right.
and I'll still side chain the kick. Not like heavy, you know what I mean? Not like EDM or like dance pop stuff, but I'll still side chain a little bit just to make sure.
Yeah, I have like
it's
a Pro
punchy.
MB just like kind of like on the bass when the kick hits, like just going down like 3 dB.
Yeah, I just use Kickstart.
Yeah,
But same thing.
Kickstart's great, yeah.
I just like dial it in and like just a little bit always. I feel like just it makes it feel more modern because it's gonna be punchier. And that second part, it does like you turn. Sometimes I'll forget to do it. I'm like,
Right.
what? It sound like a little like not right yet, muddy. I'm
Right.
like, oh, I forgot to start trying to kick the bass. Oh, there it is. Okay, now it still feels clearer. Like now the vocals poking out more. Now that you know what I mean. Now the drums are smacking a little bit harder.
And like that's like the the kind of the modern mix, modern music. It's like how we get things loud.
Yeah.
Is like by side chaining and making space where like it wasn't as important back in the day. Like records weren't getting to like. I've gotten some mixes, masters and mixes back to like -3, -4 LUFS from these like big time mixers.
Yeah.
Like that just wasn't a thing, 15 years ago.
Now it is, so that you have to find ways to like make room for that give them the headroom to make it that loud.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
part of that is side
I'm
chaining.
now getting my rough mixes to like -6.
That's what I shoot for every day. Is down to 6.
It's like that's kind of like what we need to get it to, because I found if I don't get it that loud, the mixer is not always going to get it as loud as it needs to be.
Got you.
After. So it's just like I'm like, okay, I have to figure it out on my end.
Because I'm giving
first.
them the reference mix, and they're referencing that, like, oh, this is how loud it should be. Or that even just like, honestly, I hate to say it, like the teams, a lot of times, louder's not always better, but a lot of people think it is.
Oh, no,
sometimes.
they think it is.
So if it jumps out the speaker at them, they're like, oh, this is cool. Like, other than something that might even be better, but it's just like a lower thing, it doesn't jump at them. I mean, I hate to be like that, but it's true.
No, it's true.
It's
like,
so true.
I said it on the podcast a bunch, where it's like loudness, it's like, it's scientifically proven that like people like louder things.
Yeah.
We don't know why.
I don't know why that is, but it's true.
It is what it is.
But at the end of the day, you crank it up a bit more to make everybody feel like,
It's like,
oh, this feels good, yeah.
I know. I always like, I don't do it enough because like, you see my room, like the people back here are so far from the speakers and I'm so close and I'm like, fuck, I can't be blowing out my ears. But so often everyone's like, turn it up.
Yeah, I always sit back there with the artist.
I know, I gotta do that. I gotta like start like coming back here to be like, okay, how loud is this really?
Yeah.
Dude, I love that. I love hearing like how involved you are with drums. Because that was the one thing I noticed. Like going through all your discography, I'm like, damn, all these drums sound like really fucking cool.
That's awesome. Thanks, dude.
Yeah.
I always also try to figure out like a take on it that might not be as up the middle as you think.
Yeah.
For finding drums.
No,
and
that's
that's
what I've
any
noticed.
sound.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's any sound that's like specifically like bass sounds too, and like key sounds. Like, okay, what's like an interesting take on what this is, right? Like if it is a pop song or whatever, it's like, okay, what's a cool way to present this? And a lot of times drums, like I said, define what you're listening to, I feel like, genre-wise. So, like, okay, what's a cool way to figure out, like, what's some cool samples I can throw in or loops that wouldn't typically be in this, but work really well with the standard. I saw, was it Oak? I saw somebody do an interview, and they said they approached their production 70-30, or 60-40, excuse me. 60% things people are expecting to hear in that genre, right? Like you can get away with. That allows you the extra 40%, right? To kind of experiment and do your thing, and like, oh, that I recognize what this is because of the 60% you're doing, but the other 40% you're doing, that's a unique take on what this is, and that allows you the comfortability to kind of experiment.
Yeah, I call that like whenever I'm in sessions, like I was like, what's the thing that's going to ground?
Right, exactly. Yes, exactly.
Where it's like we're making music for the masses. Like, yes, obviously you have sessions every once in a while where it's like we're going to do something really cool and experimental.
Yeah, for sure.
But like for the most part, we're making pop music, and it's like, cool. What's that thing that like people like familiar?
Yes,
but they want it a little bit different.
Exactly. Yep. And that's always the things I gravitate towards too, as well, just as a listener.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, whoa, this is like a cool take on this. You know what I mean? I feel like specifically now, honestly, and with the way pop music is, it's kind of the things that are hitting more. It's like,
oh yeah,
it's identifiable, but it is like a little left of center of what you would typically think of. You know?
Oh yeah. I mean, you look at like the biggest records the last like year.
Yeah.
And you're just, you know, I don't know. You're just like, whoa, okay. Like, I don't know, like genres are all blended now.
Yeah, which I love. That gets me so excited as a producer. I feel like I can go in the room and kind of just start like having fun with it instead of like, oh, we have to stick to this brief today because this is what it is, you know?
Yeah. I just like, one of my favorite records of the year was Sabrina Carpenter's Please, Please, Please.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like you hear that and you're like, this is the weirdest fucking production I've heard in quite some time, but it is so cool.
Have you seen the mix of the Masters breakdown?
Yes, of course.
Of course. Okay.
Yeah. I saw that. I was like, I'm watching this immediately because I love this song.
Me too. I was like, okay, now I got to know what's going on.
Yeah.
This, you know?
But like, and the thing is, like, to me, like, what's grounding that record is like, obviously, like the pop, it's like very modern pop vocals.
Yeah.
But then it's like a Lynn kick and snare.
Yep.
The most basic sounding. Like, I've heard this on so many records.
Yeah.
And to me, like, kind of what you're saying, like, that's the thing that is, like, kind of like the glue of the song. Anyway, I love that song.
Yeah,
so
it's
much.
great. I mean, that whole record's amazing, to be honest with you.
Anyway, that's like when Jack Antonoff, like, knocks it out of the park. And you're just like, man, like, you have such highs and lows. But his highs are so high.
His highs are so high you can ignore. I mean, the new Kendrick record's probably one of my favorite records all year. I mean, me being a hip-hop fan almost first is like... That's one of the best hip hop records. That and the Tyler the Creator record. But
and I think what Jack brought to that record as an executive producer is that everything sounds so good.
Yeah, yeah.
I was
it's
like,
so dialed.
Yeah, I listened to it. And I'm just like, this is the best sounding rap out record I've ever heard in my life.
Oh, for sure.
Right. Like, I'm not saying it's like Kendrick's next work, but like, damn it, everything just like as like again like as a producer engineer, you're just like, fuck, like
It just sounds amazing.
It just sounds so good. And I want to try and get Ollie the Mixer on the podcast.
Oh, really?
I like have it like a thing where I was like, oh, like, because I've cold messaged a couple people and like a lot of people have said yes.
Yeah, for sure.
So because I'd love to like see, because like, then I like dove in deeper on his stuff and I'm like, oh, dude, like everything you're doing sounds so great. Like, is it you or is it the producer you're working?
What are you getting?
But like, you are doing something anyway. Okay, so I want to start talking song deep dives with you. Like I said, I went into your discography here and I love so many of the records, but the one that really stuck out to me, and I'm also a big fan of Chloe Lilac, but her song Supermoon.
Yeah.
Which I maybe because I don't know if I don't follow. I just didn't realize she like released a new record.
It was an EP, yeah.
Yeah, no,
I had
EP.
2 in there,
yeah. And like maybe I don't know if you didn't post about it or I just missed it, but like I listened to Supermoon and I was like, I genuinely really like that song.
It's so good.
It's really, really good. The production sounds great. Did you mix that or did she have it mixed?
I did not. No, Jeremy Daniels, great mix engineer. I don't typically mix anything.
Yeah.
It usually always goes to somebody else. I hate the mixing process. I don't like it. I'm too busy in sessions to like dial because I have to spend like days on the mix for me.
You couldn't pay me to mix a song.
I always tell people, like, you know how, like, I produce every day?
Yeah.
Well, people mix every day, and they're going to do a better job at that. Even if you like, because a lot of people are like, oh, I love your day of mixes. Like, okay, that's great, but somebody else, I promise
better
you can
and
do
faster.
the 10. Yeah, yeah.
It's like, because you want this record done? Like, give it to someone else.
Yeah, and I always deliver my mix,
Of
like,
course,
as, like, my stems, like, they just start from there, you know? But, like, they always take it over the line.
Yeah,
Like,
of course.
good, like, great guys.
No, that's what I want in every mix. It's like, clean it up, make it the thing. But, like, you can also tell, like, it's the mix, but it's also, like, the engineering and everything. Like, all the choices you made are, like, really, really fantastic. So, before we get in the nitty-gritty, what's kind of the story behind that song, how the record come together?
That was, I mean, I've been working with Chloe for a few years now. I love Chloe, one of my favorite people in the music industry, truly. Like, one of the most genuine, kind people, so talented, like, beyond words for being 22 years old.
Yeah,
I met her when she was 19.
Yeah.
So young. And she's just such a great writer and artist.
Yeah.
So, honestly, we work together pretty consistently, you know, like once a month, sometimes twice a month, you know, whatever, you know, so pretty consistent just because we like each other so much. Again, just make people with just make music with people you like.
Yeah.
I love Chloe. She loves me. It's easy, right? And that day it was me, her, and a great trainer who's a great guitarist that I work with a lot. I don't play guitar, so I usually have a session player. Somebody else kind of playing. And I can't say it was like different than any other day with Chloe, to be honest with you. We started a guitar. That was kind of like the first or second thing Gray played that day, I remember. Because I was like, oh, I remember I had the idea of like, instead of chords, like, let's try to riff around a little bit. Let's just find like a cool, like, oh, it's that song riff. You know what I mean? Like, just when it starts.
That's my goal every day.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, oh, it's that. Because sometimes I'll start with chords and then we find that thing later. It's like, oh, maybe that's the main thing. But that day we started with like, oh, let's just find the thing right off the bat. Like, you know, and with Chloe, I'm comfortable doing that because we work together so much. So if it takes a while to find it, it's fine.
Right. You know, you can like eventually get something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so we had that riff on acoustic guitar and then I was like looping it. And then I think we're like, oh, this is cool. And she started kind of humming some melodies. And I think the thing that really broke it was I had that 4-on-the-floor kick and that bass idea, the dum bass idea, and then 4-on-the-floor kick instead of the kick following that thing. And then all of a sudden, Chloe's that I love that. Like whatever you're doing, that's sick. She was like, that feels like something different to me, especially for my catalog. So that's kind of where it went. She wrote that whole thing in, probably an hour and a half. And that production is just whatever you hear we did that day. Everything, vocals, everything. I think that's just the day of, you know, which isn't rare for me, but sometimes the Chloe will go back and stuff, you know what I mean? Just kind of revisit vocals specifically. But that day was just kind of locked in. And yeah, I think that was just like everything we did in that day just felt really great and we didn't want to touch it on. So that's just kind of what it was, you know? But that was the process. It was a pretty normal day. Chloe's a fast writer anyway. So whenever I do a session with her, not that there's any pressure, but I just know it's like, oh, we're gonna get a song. We're gonna get song today, and also I'm gonna work fast with her. I always work fast, but with her, she's so like, oh, I'm done. Like whenever you want me to record vocals, like you know what I mean? Like she'll just like look up from her.
It's like, all right, just finish what you're doing.
And then like Chloe has this thing I tell her all the time, and I'm just gonna go on the Chloe compliment train for a second.
Good.
Like she just has a way of making things cool.
Yeah.
Like she gets in the mic, and something that I think is like, I was like, oh, this is a cool idea, whatever it is. She gets in the mic, I'm like, oh, this is great. Like, instantaneously, she has the thing. And great artists do. Like, oh, you make me sound like a better producer.
Yes.
Like, all of a sudden, this song is amazing. And so, like, now these chords make way more sense with this drum beat I'm doing and whatever, you know?
I joke all my best vocal productions are when I've done the least.
Oh, for sure.
Where it's like...
I mean, we can go into that, but there's not that many. Chloe's not a crazy stacker at all. You know what I mean? Like, it's not. Maybe,
I was going to say, like, because, like, I've met her once in passing, but I've always been such a fan of her, and it's like, man, like, you know, for like 4 or 5 years I've listened to her stuff, and I'm always just like, how is she not bigger than she actually is? I have that conversation with her all the time. Yeah, I just like, I don't get it, because to me it's just like, same thing, it's just like, man, your voice is so cool, and you're always doing such like cool shit, and your hooks are always like fucking awesome.
Yeah, her taste is immaculate.
Right.
Her taste in music is great. Like, she brings in references. I'm like, where are you getting this from? Like, this is amazing. These songs are amazing. Like, you know what I mean? Like underground stuff I haven't heard. I'm like, this is great. Like, you know,
Yeah, so I don't know. Just like, I'm sure she's still so young, so she's got so much time.
Oh, she has so much room to grow. It's crazy.
It's like, again, even like this like Supermoon record where it's like, I know the EP just came out, but I'm just like, this song is really fucking good. Like,
great.
What's happening?
It's one of my favorite songs I produced last year. Absolutely, it's one of my favorite songs I produced last year.
It's so good. And that's why, like, it was sometimes like a lot of people like think like I'm always gonna pick like people's biggest songs.
Right, yeah.
Whereas like obviously if you have like a huge hit, like yes, I want to talk about that. But me, it's like I always want to talk about the songs that like I'm a genuine fan of.
Yeah, which I appreciate.
I'm like, no, I want, because I want to know. Like, I love,
what's going on here? Yeah.
I love this. Yeah, so like just speaking of that song, like I know you didn't play the acoustic guitar, but the acoustic sounds great. Like what's
thanks.
like I don't know if you remember how you recorded that one, but what's like your normal process for recording?
That was before I got my 1073. So that was just my Lawton Audio mic into my 1073, BA 1073, and it was just that. And then I put in the box. I did some compression, very light EQ. I opened up these sessions before. Just to make sure. I did this 9 months ago. Did some light compression on the left and rights. I put RC20 on. I usually put RC20 on a lot of my acoustics.
Oh, nice.
Take the noise thing off and just kind of, just to make it feel, shape a little bit. It just says like you turn it on off. Oh, it feels like cooler now.
You know what I'm using for that? I use that. It's might be my favorite plugin, Toop by Goodhertz.
Oh, I don't have it, but I love Goodhertz. Like I love that company. Just
you
as a
buy
whole.
That plugin.
Really? Okay, I should.
It's so good.
Toop, it's called TUPE.
TUPE. It's like a tape and tube like combo thing.
And then I put them on a group, an acoustic guitar group, and then I did some more bus processing there. Probably a little bit more EQ. I think I remember. I did a Virtue mix, the Slate Then I have like an acoustic guitar
like thing
I kind of dial it in. Like I have it saved as a preset, like a good starting place for my mic and for my, my, you know what I mean, for my preamp. I did that, and then I think I did a 1070 because I didn't have the hardware version, so I did a 1070 UAD 1073. Just in like the easy guitar setting.
Right.
I think I looked. I was like, oh, it's like that was what it was easy guitar.
Beautiful.
You know? Yeah.
That's the thing too that like most people like don't realize. Like presets are great. Use them.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Whenever I talk to someone, I'm like, how do you get that sound? Like, oh, just preset. I'm like, I see. I should have known.
Yeah, that's it. It's like a preset and you tweak a little.
Yeah,
bit.
That's what I did. I just dialed in, so it's like hitting like down 3, I think.
Before we get too deep, because I wanted to, I think a number one question that a lot of people ask about is like you mentioned you compress the acoustic guitars a little bit. What do you normally like to use for that? And like,
on the track itself, usually just or comp. Just the regular, because it's so, it doesn't sound like anything. Because usually I like how it sounds. I don't want to color it yet, you know? I color it more with the 1073 and on the bus, I'll color it more. Yeah. But on the track itself, I'll just do the or comp.
Just like really clean, kind of like, just like kissing the compressor?
I use like down 3. I'm hitting there, like down 3 there, usually on my Slate rack there's a compressor in there. I'm usually hitting that a little harder, like down 5. And then maybe just like down 2 or 3 again on the 1073. So like just stages of compression to make it sound like really warm and up front. And I'll toggle. Sometimes I don't use all of them. I'll turn them on and off. It just depends. But for this specific song, I use all 3. So
obviously it depends on the playing too.
That's not like a super, like digging in super hard on that song. So I was allowed to kind of like really squash it a bit more, you know.
That's nice. Yeah, it's so funny. It's like I like compressing acoustic guitars. I know some people that don't, where they're just like, just play it more even. It's like, sure. But
I've done that too, you know, but usually I'll put some kind of compression on there, you know, just to kind of
more alive.
Yeah, exactly. It makes it really brings out the.
To me, it's like the difference between like a folk record and like a more like modern pop.
Yeah, exactly. Well, like today I'm doing a folk thing with like Bailey Bryan, who's like a kind of singer-songwriter folker girl that I work with a lot, and I don't kiss. I barely hit those compressors, you know, because I want to feel more in the room, and I don't hit those hard. So it is per taste, but for something like this, it's more pop driven for sure. I'm really hitting them.
Yeah, no, let it do the thing. It sounds good to you. Like it sounds good.
Yeah, exactly.
The other thing I love about that song, again, always the drums in that song are those mostly samples, or did you use any real drums at all?
I took pictures.
Oh,
actually on my phone because I had a feeling you were gonna ask me about that. That's so funny. So I took a session picture. So do you mind if I just
no, please. I don't mind at all.
So funny that you said that. Yeah, here it is right here. Okay, so there's some some splice stuff in there. Do you know that Wired Chords kit? It's like an indie pop kit.
No, maybe.
The kick in there was like great. I usually put like a lot of live kicks.
Wild Card?
Yeah.
Okay.
With a Z.
Check it out.
I did that. Looks like I have like a 505 snare in there.
Oh, nice.
Just like a drum machine-y kind of, just like between the thwap underneath it. Yeah. Like a brood snare.
Oh, yeah.
In there, just like super, like that's the super dry one up front. And then I did like a bit crush. There's like a snare in there that's like super bit crushed. That underneath it, that's giving it like some of that like digital distortion on top.
Yeah, it sounds really cool. So I was like so curious.
Yeah, that was like cool. It comes in the pre-hook and it stays kind of throughout the song after that first pre. Yeah. And there's like that really. It's weird if you take it away. It's like, oh, whoa, where did this snare go? And then you put it back in, you don't realize it's part of the snare vibe. But it's like
it's a thing that you only miss if it's muted.
Exactly, but it's like it turns into a different drum set, like you know. But it's like a super bit crush snare, like very digital sounding on top, you know. And then I have like a hi-hat loop, just like a live and like chopped up to kind of like accent different upbeats. And then a tambourine, and then there is this one loop in there that at the end of the song, which is really cool. It's a conga loop played with a guitar. Oh, okay. And I found a sample of it, and I chopped it up, and I distorted the shit out of it. Yeah. And put it like a widener on it. Okay. So like the last half of the song has this like. It's tough. You don't listen to the stems again. You don't realize it's there, but it's like accenting these hits on the 16th and 8ths. Yeah. That are just like making the last half of the song really come alive. Okay. Like, you know, so I did that, and that was really fun. And I remember Chloe was like, "What is that?" Because it sounds almost tonal, but it's not. I was like, "Oh, it's like a guitar that's hitting like a conga." I don't know. It just named guitar and conga the sample I got, so I don't know what it is. It's but something. I'm guessing it's somebody hitting a conga with a guitar. Yeah, you know, or making it sound like that. Yeah. But yeah, so that was like really fun, like drum production thing on that one, and then just some tambourines on the sides. That I'm also. Do you know that's plug-in Digitalis?
Yes, I love it. I love everything Aberrant DSP.
Okay, I put that on my tambourines a lot.
Oh,
I left and right them. Yeah. And I put like a bit crush on them and kind of like put the rate down and just mess with them a lot. And it makes them feel like. Sometimes I have a problem with tambourines because it makes them, even though I use them a lot, I'm like, are they jingle bells or are they tambourines? Right. You know what I mean? So it's like, this makes it feel more like live and like weird. And sometimes I'll put, what's the kilohertz gate? Like the.
The gate? Like
it's like, what is it? It's it's almost like made for like dance music. It's like the stepper.
Oh, like the shaper box thing, or like
it's kilohertz. It's like a It's like a stepper. It's almost like a gated stepper plugin.
Yeah, so it's like only letting out certain
exactly.
accents,
So anyway, all that to be said, I'm dialing that in to make it like feel tighter on the side, so it's not so washy. You know.
Yeah, I use like LFO Tool for like something like that.
Okay,
a lot,
that's cool.
I just want to like. Yeah, I mean, it's it was free at one point. Now it's $50.
But the most of the tone is coming from the digitalis.
Yeah,
is like that is making
people are sleeping
digital.
on that plugin.
Nobody knows about it.
Yeah,
I pulled up. They're like, oh, what are you using? Like other producers, I'm like, oh, digitalis. Like, I was like, oh, whoa, it's fire. They're like,
they just released that like super weird like reverb plugin called Layer.
I know, I don't have that one.
Yeah, it's like digitalis. Like obviously you can't use it all the time.
Yeah,
but it's like sometimes when I'm just like, let me see what this will do. On a thing, and it's like, oh, now that is a different sound. You know, in like the best way.
That's what's fun about that plugin. It's like you can kind of like dial it in. There's like, oh, if I turn it off, it's kind of way different now, but in a cool way.
Yeah, it's when you're like purposely trying to mess stuff up.
Yeah.
Hey gang, I just wanted to pop in here to let you know that the best way you can help this podcast grow is to rate and review us wherever you listen to podcasts. It tells the algorithm to push our show to other listeners so we can grow, and it's one of, if not the best way to help support this podcast. So if you wouldn't mind, take a second to rate this podcast. Sharing it with your friends would be amazing too. All right, back to the pod. All right, I want to move on to the next song here. This was your suggestion, but I love this song too, so it works out. Sam Short's Aphrodite. Tell me a little bit how that record came together.
Yeah, that's an interesting story, that one. Unlike the Chloe one, which was just like, oh, we did it on the women, it was typical, like fun. Yeah. That song, I was working with Sam a lot at the time, and she had that song from her first EP that I did, but it was a different, the hook was almost the same, different lyric, but the B half was a different melody. And the verses were quite different, I think, actually, if I remember. And originally she wanted produced out like kind of almost like a Ray. You know what I mean? Like escapism kind of vibe. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like full tempo, kind of like R&B drums, like, and we did that. The intro was still the same though. The intro was still that sweet space and the vocal. Bass, yeah.
That's one of my questions too, but let's keep going.
And her team was like, nah, we don't like this. The lyrics not connecting with us. We're not sure if it's the right fit for the EP that you're putting out, blah, blah. But me and Sam were like, it's a sick song, really? Like, it's really dope. And I will say, like, the lyric was, like, I forgot what the other lyric was, but it was a little bit, it didn't hit as hard, the lyric, right? Like, in the B half, it didn't wrap it up as nicely. So, I kind of get what they were saying. So, we kind of let it die, and all right, whatever. We did the rest of the EP and came out. It did great, actually. And then one day she teased just the bass and vocal on TikTok. Right. And it went feral. It went crazy, And this was actually a year ago, like now, I remember, because it was right around Christmas time we had to do it. And because it got released January, like top of January. And she called me, she's like, hey, this is like really popping. It's getting like millions of views, like really fast, and like hundreds of thousands of comments. I was like, okay, cool.
We have to finish this now.
Yeah, so she's like, can we book a production day like ASAP and like just redo it with like, by that time it was another 6 months later. We had really dialed in the project of being more like kind of like pop, dark, wavy. I mean, like, can we just like revisit this and like redo the chords, redo everything? You know, like just do it. Let's do it. Except for the intro, we just kept the intro.
It's like people had heard that. Now you can't change.
Yeah, right. We can't change that. We can change everything else. So that's what we did. And I'm not. A lot of my day ofs are the things that just come out. So that wasn't the thing that was like. I was worried about. I was worried like, oh, we can't. We had production day, and then the next day went to mixing.
Oh, it was like,
and then it went to mastering, and then it got into the DSP, and it came out like 3 weeks later. You know, so it was like fast. So that's the story behind it. As far as like how it happened, that whole song, which was kind of like a whirlwind of a thing.
Yeah, it's funny. Like those don't happen all the time, but it's like as a producer, where it's like, there's the debate which we don't have to get into right now. Where I was like, do you let artists preview music? Do you not? That's like there's pros and cons to it either way. But when it does blow up,
pays off.
You need, not even pays off, but like you need to cancel everything.
Oh yeah, no, that's the thing.
It's like you have to be like, oh, okay, this is not my priority.
Yes. I would have done it anyway, but it also helped that I was blowing up like right around now, like December. So I'm like, well, it's like a little slow anyway. Like let's just get in like tomorrow. Like it was like 2 days later, I think we got in. You know what I mean? So yeah.
And just like get it going. Yeah, it's so funny. Like I've seen it happen where like something starts to blow up and they like people just like don't get it out in time.
That's happened to me before. Yeah, honestly, with songs, and it's frustrating. There was
this
this artist that will redact, but the song went crazy and her team just didn't jump on it fast enough, and we didn't finish it. And the time we did, nobody cared anymore, and it was like kind of a letdown for everybody. It's just like, well, now what? Like we didn't even release the song because like it didn't. When she reposted again, it didn't react the same way. It was like 2 months later. It was like, okay, well now it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, I mean, like listen, like everyone's attention span is already so short, but it's like. So you're fighting like short attention span, high competition. Yeah. Spotify's tougher than ever. Yeah. And Spotify, to give them credit, if they see that something is taking off on TikTok, they'll like be like, oh, okay,
They'll put it.
We'll push it a
Yeah,
little
they'll
bit
push
more.
it. Yeah.
But if it stops, then they're not going to. Which is like, of course, I don't blame them because this is just what it is. So yeah, it's just being able to jump on those opportunities when you can. You know, the production choice that you made are pretty unique, and I wanted to know what's like, I don't know if you remember, like what's like maybe your favorite like little production trick or little ear candy thing in there that you're like, ooh, this is one of my favorite things that like you really have to listen for.
Oh, there's two things.
Okay.
First of all, the chorus is 5 BPM slower.
Love
so it goes to 115 to 110 in the hook.
Yeah.
Because she was like, I really want to like drop. Like I want like a feel to like drop into this hook. And I'm like, and we were trying stuff, and I was like, what if I just like slowed it down? You know what I mean? It made it hard to sing because of that, you know? And there's this other thing in the hook. We did like this super weird vocal, and then I just turned it into like this synth. And it's like unrecognizable as her vocal, and then I layered it with like an octave up, and I messed that one up even more, like super distorted and weird and verby, and it's in both hooks. And I just like love how I treated that vocal. I mean, I do that a lot, but especially with Sam, her voice is very malleable. You know, you find vocalists that are just like
it's like, oh, you just sound good.
Yeah, you sound good, and she just does like these oohs and ahs, and she just like give you a bunch of that, and it's like, oh, you're great. Like this one moment is like that can be like almost like a hook within a hook, you know. So that like one of the main like synth things in the background of that hook is just her vocal that I really like messed with like a lot that day, you know.
Nice.
And I feel like that almost like it widens the hook so much without even knowing it, and it's like one of my favorite parts of that production. Is just that vocal play.
And I love like you know, finding other little. That's like my favorite thing about like, you know, doing mix with masters, whatever. You're like, oh, I never noticed that. And I was like, that's sick. Like, that's really cool.
I always try to have a vocalist do at the end of the day or in the vocal, just do one, even if you don't like doing ad-libs.
Yeah.
You don't just do something, and I promise I'll turn to something you don't think is your vocal.
The best advice I give to people, because, you know, so I end up working with like a lot of like people early on, and like some people who have never done an ad-lib take. And the advice I always say, right, is like, one, obviously, like, you have to just go in with it like with like no fear, like eyes closed. But what I tell people is like, do a take where you're only doing like us. So it's like if you focus them a little bit, it actually makes them a little bit more confident.
Yeah.
Right? Where like first take, do oohs and ahs, like that's all you're doing. Second take, harmonies. So like you're only doing like the ad lib where like, oh, you're jumping up above it or below the melody or whatever. And then the third one is like kind of call and responses.
Yeah.
And so I think sometimes with like, especially with newer people, where it's like if you do it like that, you'd be surprised what you can get, and people like surprise themselves
for sure
with like just like a little bit of direction.
Yep. You know, I give them like, okay, this take double words.
Right.
You don't even harmonize, just double them.
Yeah. Right.
It's nice. You know who taught me a lot about ad libs is Cody Hansen. Working with Cody Hansen, she's an ad lib queen.
She's
dude.
So good.
She really, I worked with her like 5 years ago, and like pretty not regularly, but like a lot over the span of like 6 or 9 months or whatever. And I'm like, man, she's like teaching. That's the best when you get with the artist. Like, oh man, you're teaching me how to really because she's doing it herself. Yeah. But her ad libs are so good. She knows. I'm like, oh, this patch she just did this on. I should take a note of that just to tell people that. You know, like she's so good at ad libs.
She's so good. Yeah, I was funny enough. I was like one of her first sessions.
I know. Yeah.
And she's like, love Carly.
I love Carly.
One of my favorite people. But yeah, like. The only problem with that is that she does so much good shit that you're like picking the best.
Oh, we'll sit there for half an hour, 45 minutes after that. I'm like, okay, this one or that one. And now it's about the bands with it. Is this one better or this one better? Is that one better or that one better?
It's because it's like everything she's doing is just so fucking cool.
It's so cool.
Yeah, and you're like, fuck, but does it really need it? But it's so cool.
I know, but it lends itself to the production so much. Like, again, like I leave room in when I do this anyway. Yeah. But like specifically when I'm working with somebody that I know so good, like Carly, like that, or Sam, like coming back to the song, is like, I'll specifically leave room in the production. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, like again, like that vocal synth wasn't there when she cut the vocal. Yeah. And that ends up being one of the things that makes this hook bigger, you know? Yeah. And it's like, but I'll purposely be producing with like, okay, I'm not going to finish all these ideas until I hear their vocal because they could do something great that I just want to, like their frequencies already filled up and it's too late. You know?
Well, it's funny because like that's how I actually like to produce just in general, where it's like, again, I'm just like obsessive over the vocal, but I'm always like, I always try and get the vocal production to be like almost done. And then I like to produce around that because I like to like lean on the vocal more than like me having to fill it up with like bullshit. But that's just like my taste. Yeah. It's just
that's
like,
interesting. I have a lot of the production done when they do vocals. Yeah. And then I'll really start like fine-tooth combing it when the vocals are done. Like, okay, I can add in this stuff. I can get away with that stuff. You know what I mean?
So. Yeah, I really keep my productions empty until like the vocals are done.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Because it's just like it's how I like to work. Right?
Cool,
I'm just like,
cool.
I like this vocal. I like to know what it's doing.
Right. Sure.
You know.
Okay. Sorry. Back to Sam.
No. Yeah. My other question is like obviously that big Reese bass.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the best sounding ones I've heard. Like,
Thanks, dude.
Do you remember like kind of what you did there?
Yeah. It was actually a bass I used a lot. It's called Gloomy Day inside of Serum.
Okay.
It's a preset. I think it was by like Make Pop Music.
Okay.
I think, but I processed it heavily after that. I did like Decapitator. And then I did something in Shaper Box. I think I saw just on the high end. I put like kind of, that liquid thing in Shaper Box.
Yes.
I think I just did that on like the high end of it to kind of like make it like kind of sing a little bit. You know. I mean that's it. I didn't do like a lot to it, but I just like darted into like make it super heavy because it's like she was like referencing The Weeknd, you know what I mean, things like that on like, and I'm like, like that's my shit, like don't worry, I got you. If you want The Weeknd, we got this today, you know what I mean, like so
we can do that.
So I was like, okay, so that bass is just like comes out the gate, like needs to be heavy, so I just darted in like a bunch of saturation, some like weird stuff on the top end, but it's already a good sounding bass. I didn't have to do a ton to it, but I just made sure to fit the song the best I could,
I want to talk a little bit about vocals. It doesn't even have to be specific for the song, but what's like your current vocal chain, like both, and if you feel comfortable talking about it, like both in and out of the box, how do you like to treat vocals normally?
It's the Audioscape 1176D.
We love it.
That you turned me on to.
Yeah.
1073.
So you've been using it.
Oh yeah.
How you liking it?
I love it. It's actually out for repair right now.
Oh no.
There was a messed up pot in it, and they couldn't fix it, so I had to send it to Florida. They just emailed me when I was here. I need to see.
You know what I will say? Like Audioscape, it's like they are, because I actually had a problem with my Opto that I got from them.
Okay.
But they stand by their shit. They're like, send it, fix it.
They were customer service is amazing. It's going to be back within like 2 weeks, which is crazy for an audio company.
Yeah, it's like 10 out of 10. Like they are absolutely amazing.
They're so sweet. That guy Matt over there is so nice.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, continue though.
Into my 1073 BAE.
What do you, I'm curious because I know how I use mine, but how hard do you like to hit your 7060 with vocals going into the box?
I made it pretty hard, dude. Yeah, like down 10, down 15, sometimes down 20, depending
What's
on the
the ratio you like to stick with?
I think it's 4-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, just 4-1. It's like, what do they call the Dr. Pepper setting?
Yeah,
I kind of have, is that what it was? Yeah. I kind of just like did that. And it's almost like set it and forget it, to be honest with you.
That's how I am, too.
I control it more with the preamp of how hard's hitting it than I do dial it on the 76. The 76 kind of stays for the most part where it is,
I try not to move things because I'm just like, if I ever have to recut, I know that it's like, this is just kind of where I have things.
Also, like, I want to compress. I bought it. Like, compress. You know what I mean? Like, it sounds good when you're hitting it. Like, I want to be almost in the red because it sounds dope. You know, if we need to back off, we will. But, like, to me, it's like that's what's shaping the vocal. Like,
Have you messed with it all buttons in yet?
No, I haven't done that.
Do it.
Okay.
I don't, listen, I don't record with it all the time, but I've done it, especially on, like, ad-lib takes sometimes, and I'm just like, ooh.
That's a good way to do it.
It sounds good. I've only did one song where I had it on the whole time because it just, like, felt right. And it's like, I shit you not, it's like one of the best vocals I ever recorded.
Really?
It makes me want to do it more often.
Really?
But
I've never done it.
I'm so afraid to.
I need to.
But you should, because you'll do it and be like, oh, this sounds so
I need
good.
to grow some balls and do it then.
Yeah, I know, right? Anyway, so.
And then, then into Logic. And from there I have, I'm trying to think. I've had just like low end, taking out low end. Like I'm not doing anything crazy. Pro Q probably and doing that. Maybe even the Logic stock one. I have an or compressor or Vox on it. I'm not doing anything like too colorful on my because I'm already coloring it through everything else. So I'm just like, for this, it's just like, excuse me. I'm not doing anything too colorful with it because like it's already coming in. I like how it sounds.
The
So
7060 colors it a good amount.
Yeah, I'm just evening out the peaks on it and like making it like kind of squash it a bit.
Right.
And then, well, we'll get into the plugin later, I'm sure, but I have CLA vocals on it. Great. Usually on my lead vocal, I do have like a little bit of it on there.
Yeah, great.
And then Soothe. I think I have Soothe for sure on there.
Yeah.
And then a de-esser, usually. I think I use the Elios.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
De-esser, it's cool. It's just very visual, so I can kind of see it and I can dial it in pretty specific.
Yeah.
And then Soothe, I usually just start with the one that's called Vocal Start. And then I just take it from there because it's like, that's what the plugin was, that's what the preset was made for. Like, start your vocal here, see what happens, And I think that's kind of the chain of things for my vocal. Yeah. And then my background, that's my leads.
Yeah.
My background's a little bit more dialed back. Well,
of course. Yeah. Backgrounds are like so project dependent.
Yeah.
In Logic, do you have like a template with like a bunch of verbs ready to go, or how do you usually like to like do that kind of thing?
Yeah, I do. I have a Logic template that has pretty much my vocal buses set up for me already. Right. So when I'm recording vocals, like it's funny, I don't have anything. I know some people have like, I have like my favorite bass sound, or maybe I don't do that because I don't want to box myself into the day. Yeah. Like creatively, I want to be able to start from a blank canvas and not have anything preconceived. Like, what if I just put up the same bass sound I always do? You know what I mean? Like, I have channel strips that I've saved and like presets. If I want to go there, I can. But for my vocals, I know they always hit in this specific chains and buses. So I do have that dialed in. One of my auxiliaries, I have the Greg Rose Voice Centric on it.
Use that, but
I pretty great. I mean, I'm a very like meat and potatoes kind of guy. Like I'm not like going too crazy, and that vocal plugin just sounds sick on an auxiliary, and just send some of it to it, and it has a built-in kind of slap delay and reverb, and I'll just whatever. And it has like a parallel chain in there for sure.
Okay.
That they don't say it does, but if you dial it on the way in, you can hear it.
Right, yeah, it's like something's there.
Yeah, something's there. So I use that as a parallel.
Okay, nice.
You know what I mean? On my vocal, And then I have like micro shift on like lead vocal clarity.
Yeah.
I have this setting I got from this guy that worked for Lewis Bell, like the 1/64th ping pong delay. I have that in there, I want to dial some of that in there. And then have like a bigger verb that's like a Valhalla verb.
Nice.
That if I wanted, I have it in there. I have a couple other I have a couple sidechain delays.
Right.
You know what I mean? To sidechain to the lead vocal.
Yes.
So I have that in there. You know what I mean? So just options to give to me throughout the day that I can kind of turn on and off to see what's working in the vocal.
I have a very similar philosophy because funny enough, like I mean, I say it all the time on the podcast, but in case you don't know, it's like I start in Ableton and my Ableton template is like pretty blank.
Okay, yeah.
I think the only thing I have in there is like I have like a drum rack with like that's empty.
Okay,
I just want to be able to drag drums into it, and I have like Keyscape.
Cool.
Because like I love Keyscape.
Piano,
But then when I'm in Pro Tools, my Pro Tools template is like stacked.
Oh, gotcha.
Where it's like especially vocals, where it's like I just find that it's like cool if I have tracks for every kind of vocal I want to do ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
So like I have like doubles, low doubles, soft doubles.
Nice.
Fucking harm 1, harm 2, harm 3, Oz 2, gangs. They're all like they're ready to go.
Yeah.
And it's just like makes it where it's like everything is neat, and then when I have to like edit later, it just makes my life so much.
Yeah, it is for sure,
easier.
and it's efficient. If somebody's like, okay, especially with vocals that know what they want, like Bailey Brown, who I'm working with today, amazing vocalist, amazing vocal producer. I say nothing. I just let her go.
Just do the thing, yeah.
So she's like, okay, give me another stack with like the low hum, and she just knows what she wants.
Yeah.
So for me, just be like, okay, done. Okay, next one. She's just like,
I just have to hit record.
So for people like that, it's nice because it's so efficient and so fast.
Yeah, it's like it's like sometimes like people like they don't want to sit and wait for you to like make new tracks.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, and then I know some people that just like record all the vocals in one track and then do that. I'm like, that's fucking crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like,
each their own. I could never do that.
I could never do that. I'm like, that's too much. But so then it's just like, I can just like look back. Cause like sometimes I'll usually edit the vocal the next day, but sometimes it's like 2 or 3 weeks later. And it's like, I don't remember what I fucking did. Yeah, but if I can see like which ones were recorded on, it's like, okay.
Yeah. It's like, you know what this is. You know what that is.
It's very, very, very obvious to me.
Yeah.
So I want to go on to the next topic here. One thing I like to talk about with people who don't use Pro Tools is how you're making stems ready for mix. How do you normally like to go about doing that? Are you running things through your mix bus, running things through your bus? How do you like to get stems over for mix?
Yeah, I'm running it through my mix bus, usually with no limiting, obviously, to give them headroom.
So like you're running like every track through the mix bus, or like how do you like to do it?
Yeah, usually every track. It's a pain.
Yeah.
I wish someday someone will make something that will make them very rich. It won't be me to do.
No, they already have it. They have
what's
the
it called?
Oh God, SoundFlow.
Okay, I haven't tried that.
So basically, from what I understand, it's like you put the time in to get it set up,
right?
But then once it's set up,
you're good to go.
It's like you're saving so much time.
I might actually look into that over the holidays then. Yeah. So I'm just putting everything through my master bus because my day ofs 99.9% of the time, people are like, I love how this sounds already. I like how this sounds if it's going to mix. I don't want to change it. I just want to kind of, like I said, just shape it. Like I'm not gonna be the one that's dialing all the really super detailed EQs, and my brain just doesn't work that way. I'm on to the next song. I'm creating something else, right? So I'm just kind of running everything through my mix bus, each individual track, and then I'm making sure I'm printing vocals dry, wet, and then all the auxiliary tracks for them and delays and stuff like that, all separate, so they can either use my vocal mix or they can just dial it in on their own. I think it's important to at least have like the verbs and like the delay separate, because sometimes you're like, oh, like can you bring the verb up? And it's like sometimes when it's like there are people who will sometimes like print it all on the same thing. It's like no, right? Which
I think like the only time I really like print verb or delay on, it's like usually on like a background vocal. Where I was like, this is exactly how I
will do that on like ad libs because I dial them in like a lot of my ad libs. They like if you saw them, they kind of sound like hip hoppy. They have like a lot of doubling and reverb and delay. They're almost like Travis Scotty or like Don Toliver sounding.
Exactly.
Like even on that Chloe song we're talking about, if you saw those ad libs in that song. And she loves hip hop. She was like, oh, these sound like a Travis Scott song. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so that, if it's like really creative stuff, then I'll keep it. I'll usually give them the dry just in case.
Yes.
But I'll really usually denote in an email,
right,
like, hey.
this is how I want it.
This is how we kind of dial it in. And usually, I'm lucky we work with great mix engineers. They don't really want to mess with that anyway. They're like, oh, this sounds great. I don't.
The best mixing engineers, like it's like they're just kind of like not reinventing the wheel with your mix. Exactly. They're just kind of being like, cool, like maybe some EQ here.
Yeah, like I like everything I have. Like I'm not trying to change it. I'm just trying to clean it up. You know, it's really the
right. My favorite thing is like he's been on the show here. The mixer who I use a lot, who also very good friends with, is Yanni AP. Yeah, Yanni's great, and like I've gotten to go to his spot a couple times to like actually see what he's doing, because we're like, hey, we got to finish this today. Let me come over. I usually buy him breakfast still. But I just love like looking. He's like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, like not really that much. Just like this. I'm like, perfect. That's all I want.
But it comes out saying better.
Yeah, that's what I want. It's like, I always tell mixers where it's like, listen, if like you hear something that you want to try, do it. Do it. Like, and we'll let you know if we like it or not.
Yeah, for sure. I'm never gonna stop the creativity, just like I wouldn't want anybody to stop mine. Right. But like, I'll be honest. I'm like, maybe that's not it, or maybe I didn't. Yeah, it's a great little effect on that vocal delay. Like we should keep that.
Yeah, mixers have to have like by far the least amount of ego.
Yeah, they do. They really do. They have to be able to take pot shots pretty regularly.
When I was coming up, I worked with a couple mixers who I think they really wanted to be producers.
Exactly. Yeah.
And like they just like for whatever reason weren't able to, and it's like those were always the most difficult to work with, where it's like you're trying to change this and like that's fine that you did it, but when I ask you to like put it back, I don't need you to explain to me why
you did it.
Right. It's like, no, just like put it back, please. Like my name is going on.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like that's my production. Right. Yeah, exactly.
It's like your name goes on it too, but it's not my name. It's just how it is. So I want to go into our next topic here. One thing I noticed about a lot of your work, and it's hard to tell just from like reading credits, but you seem to co-produce a lot. What's kind of like your favorite way to co-produce? What's like the normal process, and where like you work with past guests? Someone who I know we both love, Mitty Jones.
Oh, I love
see
Mitty.
You work with him. But like, so like for example, like him, like what's kind of the process with how you guys work?
Well, that one's actually a different one than how I usually work.
Okay, so no. Tell me the usual then. I'm just curious. Like that's the thing. I don't know like what's like the usual way.
No, I mean a lot of times that co-production credit is on there because I am a great producer. I'm not a great player. So a lot of times I will have somebody like my friend Gray Trainer or Dan Richards.
Right, come on in.
Wait a minute. They're coming into my session to be a great player. I'll tell them my ideas, and even sometimes I'll play it and then like have them like clean it up. Right. Even guitar I'll pick up sometimes when I start something, or like especially keys. Like Dan's a great, or like my friend Casey Matson, who was like Oliver Tree's key player. Like amazing. He's amazing. I'll start something and he'll be like, oh, like this? I'm like, that's 10 times better than I would have done.
Please.
Right, So a lot of times it's because of that. And not to discredit anybody. Like their talent is so necessary for what I do. And I'm always very fair. Like I don't.
No, that's not. You're like maybe like, there are some producers that can make the thing where it's like, you're not really a producer. You're more like but
to
like
me,
it's
just
all
like,
so mixed
they're all my
nowadays.
friends, and what does it matter? My name's on it, your name's on it somehow, some way.
I agree.
What is it? I mean, to get caught up in that is kind of silly to me,
My buddy David Arkwright, who's another past guest on this show, like puts it in a really great way, because I'm the same way, where it's like there are sometimes people where it's like, they didn't like, there are other people who might not have produced it, but it's like having them get that production credit. Like Dave puts it like this, where he's like, it means so little to you to like have a co-production
That's
credit,
what I mean.
and it means so much to them.
Yeah.
Like potentially life-changing.
Well, and then like, do I want to continue this relationship with my friends? Yes. I like working with them together. Why would I not do that? Why am I going to get squab over a Spotify credit? I mean, we work out fees. They always get like some kind of fee or whatever. You know what I mean? But this was another. I think it was actually Frodo that said that too. He was like, there's people that can play instruments, and there's people that a producer. Your greatest. Somebody asked him. That's right. I was on a Q&A. They were like, what's your greatest asset as a producer? He was like, having a vision. Yeah. It's not being a great piano player. And he's like, I'm pretty good at some instruments.
Right.
I have a vision for the song, right? You play something or I play something, and I know, this is the end goal. This is what I hear in my head.
Right.
Not everybody can do that. And I think that's the true mark for a great producer, is like knowing the vision of the song. Because you could fuck that up. Like you can have the same key part and give it to the producer.
I mean, arguably the greatest producer of all time, rest in peace, Quincy Jones. Like he wasn't playing on his record.
Right.
Really.
Yeah, exactly.
He could have. He was an incredible musician.
Yeah.
But, he like understood like what he knew what he wanted, and he would like tell people to like do it.
And honestly, it makes me I'm very known for like my day ofs being really good sounding and like almost sounding like pretty much finished products. And like I said, a lot of these things I've talked about have come out just in the day ofs. And that's a lot due to I can work faster because I have people that I trust to play these parts that I have or that they have in mind really quick. And I know what it should sound like, and I know what I want out of this part, and I know what kind of processing I want to do. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't have to then take half an hour to plunk around on my own. Even if I can do it eventually, why don't I have somebody there that can do it in 5 minutes instead of 30? It makes it more efficient, you know?
Oh, dude.
So for me, it's just about efficiency and getting great songs out faster
Yeah.
to kind of win the lottery faster, hopefully.
Yeah.
You know? To be honest with you, you know? Yeah.
I mean, that's what we're all striving for. You know, funny enough, speaking of Day of Bounces, because we're going to get to this too. What's your key? You mentioned that, like, getting good players and stuff, but you know, we even get into mixed bus stuff, but how are you able to get things out quickly and sounding good and sounding loud? What's your kind of process there?
Practice. Just doing a lot of songs and producing a lot of songs. You know, it's funny, over COVID, I did this thing when I'd be like, okay, I have 20 minutes to make a song. I have 20 minutes to make a dope sounding track. Like, how fast can I do this, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
Because my bread and butter used to be some hip hop stuff. So during COVID, I went back to selling beats online instead of like having to work a side job. I would like, I'm just gonna sell beats again online, and that's like you pump those out like 3-4 a day, right? You know. Yeah. And I think honestly my main thing is there's 2 secrets I have, which is quote unquote secrets, which aren't secrets at all. Yeah. Being organized, knowing where I'm going to find my sounds, and knowing what I like I was talking about, like drum photos or like synths, or like I have all these, like even at Serum, we open my Serum up, I have like all these photos that probably make no sense to anybody else, but make complete sense to me, and I know exactly where I'm going to get this sound that I want or that sound that I want, you know, or guitar rig. I have things saved, or I know which ones. And then also, like, trusting my gut, which isn't a secret, but it takes a long time to learn. Honestly,
it takes a long time to learn and like to build up your confidence to trust your gut.
Exactly. Confidence, like, this is good enough. I'm going to go with this, right? And then, dude, I'm always willing to revisit things after that if we need to, blah, blah. But you'd be surprised how many songs are just, oh, that was what I did that day. Maybe they recut a vocal, or maybe I added one other thing. You know, like that Sam Short song, I remember I woke up the next morning, and I'm like, it's going to mix today, but it needs a high-end plucky, like, synth. So I just went down at 9 a.m., did it, sent to the mix engineer. Okay, now it's done. You know what I mean? You know, just like I had perspective for 2 seconds.
I'm literally about to do the same thing with like a Rosie Darling song.
Really?
That it's like I kind of hear like a string thing that I want to put in last minute.
Yeah.
Because I was supposed to send it to mix yesterday. I'm like, let me
they were already mixing it, and I was like, wait, I have this one part that just a high end. I listened to it with fresh ears because it was so fast, that process. There's like frequency that needs to be filtered. Sorry. But those are like my 2 things I work fast on. Is like I can trust my gut, and I know I'm going to trust my gut. You know, I mean, that's what. And then after that, it's just being efficient with arrangement and structure. I'm not afraid to ask nobody should, but I'm not afraid to ask the room, which do we like better? Do we like a down hook? Do we like up hook? Right. Where are we going? Where do you hear this going? Like, what's serving your melody the best here, you feel like? What do you hear in your head? I think like open communication in the studio really helps. That I think some people, I don't think they're scared to have, but maybe a little timid. It's like, oh, if I do that, maybe I don't look as confident as a producer or whatever. Actually, I think you look more confident. Right. Because you're willing to like, oh, I can do whatever you're saying. Just tell me what you're thinking here.
Right. Let's I always call it like play.
Yeah.
Like, let's play. Because I don't like, I always tell people all the time, like, I don't know what I'm doing when I'm producing things. I'm like, I don't like, I have somewhat of a vision, but for the most part, I love, like, my favorite thing to do is like, I love just, I call it playing. I just love like messing around and finding things and being like, oh, that's cool. Like, let's see where that goes. And then like, once the vision comes to fruition, then it's like, okay, now I know exactly where to take it. But those beginning things, I was like, I don't fucking know what I'm doing. Like,
I have no clue.
I pulled up the sound, I played a riff. Like,
You should just stumbling upon things as you're going. You know, like some days I figure it out really fast, and some days 5 o'clock I'm like, oh, this is what it's supposed to be, and then I can do the whole thing in an hour because like all the things are there. I just have to mute them things out and move some stuff around, and all of a sudden it's the song. You know, it's funny how it happens sometimes.
Yeah, no, because you know it's a never-ending battle. You know, even speaking of Day of Bounces, like, and if you feel comfortable talking about this, Day of Bounces, like mix bus. How heavy do you rely on a mix bus?
Pretty heavy. Yeah, I have. Most of my producer friends, there's a joke that like Joe has the biggest mix bus, but it's all like kissing. Well, because
it's a lot of things doing little things.
Yes, I failed to mention at the beginning. My first job ever in the music industry was at a mastering studio with a dear friend of mine who's still a dear friend of mine, Dave Harris, who mastered a bunch of my stuff still. Yeah. And it was good because I got to experience a lot of music really fast at mastering studio.
Of course. There's so many different kinds of music you're getting.
Maybe 5 singles a day, one's country, one's pop. So that made me, I think, when you talk about my versatility as a producer, I think that's what gave it to me. Is like, oh, I'm hearing, oh, this is what makes a good pop record. That's what makes a good country record. And he was working on great stuff. It wasn't like he works on great records and great songs. So like, oh, these are the sounds somebody uses in this kind of thing. So I think that's actually going way back to the beginning of the conversation. Yeah. That's where I'm able to, I think, not only do I love music, I'm a music lover, I'm listening to things, but also that experience taught me of like, oh, like this is the sounds that you're using if I'm in this lane or that lane. And also, piggybacking from that, My mix bus is a little bigger because I think I come from a mastering studio.
Right, and you're like kind of doing it with like that vision in mind.
With that vision of like, I remember we used to just like kiss this thing to like a decibel sometimes. Like, you know what I mean? Or like this, that, or like, so I'd be like, it might look big, but it's really not doing a lot.
Right.
At the end of the day, everything's kind of just compounding on
right.
top
If you
of each
turned
other.
off one thing on that thing, I was like, you might not notice it, but the second you turn off all of them, you're like,
it's compounding on top of each other, exactly. But I am, at the end of the day, the very last two things are God Particle and Ozone, because I'm a slave to that, because it does make your day just sound great, you know? So, yeah.
Isotope is like, in my opinion, like they're making some of the best and most like revolutionary
I agree.
plugins.
Yeah, I totally agree. I know it's like sometimes think they're a little kitschy, people think, but actually if you go under the hood, it works really well.
Yeah.
It works really well,
Yeah,
you know?
like everything they're doing is just like, oh, this just like sounds great. Like I feel confident, like I could not produce a record, but like mix a record only using Isotope stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
like,
for sure.
That's all I'd need, and it would sound really fucking good.
I agree. Yeah, their stuff's amazing.
What's besides those two? Like, what's something that like you don't think you could live without that's on your mix bus?
Maybe the black box I have on there. Just like I like that thing a lot.
You use the regular one or like the mid-side one?
The regular one. Yeah. Mid-side's cool too.
Yeah, that's cool. Like,
that and I'm trying to think of the other thing. Oh, the Manley, the UAD, the Manley UAD one is really nice too. I use that.
I used to use that, then I went off it, and like someone else told me like you should.
You know what's funny? I took it off for a while.
Yeah.
And then I put it back on. I'm like, oh yeah, I do like how this sounds.
Yeah, it's like it does a thing. It's like I was just shaping it in a unique way.
It is, yeah. And I have one that's just called like Joe Pepe Mix Bus Start. You know what I mean? So it's like I kind of just dial it into where I like it. So I have a lot of that kind of stuff, especially for the day of, when it's like, oh, I know this sounds good. I don't have to mess with it too much. I'm going to save this. You know what I mean? Like, that's where the starting place of it.
Dude, fucking love to hear all that.
Yeah.
So, next thing here, which is so funny, we talked about a couple of these plugins already.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to move on to our plug or unplug
nice.
segment.
I'm stoked.
For new listeners, this segment is where I'm going to ask Joe here a piece of gear or a plugin for his quick takes. Plug if it's something he loves, unplug if it's something that he's not into, bypass, make it active if you have not used it yet. So like I said, surprisingly, like you spoke about some of these already.
Okay, cool.
But the first one is a Shaperbox 3.
Yeah, plug. For sure, plug, actually.
What do you like about it?
I like that I can kind of just flip through some presets and or just like turn on one of the modules and mess with it. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it sounds good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, and it's creative. Like, it's a creative tool that also makes things sound good. Yeah. And not just a creative tool that, like, some creative tools like, oh, this is just to degrade the audio and it's going to sound shitty. That was like, oh, it's like a different take on.
It's a completely different thing sometimes, especially if you like go through some of those presets.
Also, the reverb in there is slept on.
It's cool.
The reverb unit in there is super slept on because there's just really crazy sounds they have in there that you can kind of put on just a tail end of a synth or whatever. You can dial it in the frequency range too.
Yeah.
And you can get really creative with like how your reverb decay and stuff like that on anything, you know? So I like using it for that. Yeah, man, it's just like, I just like that plugin a lot. It's just good. Like, it's one of my first ones I open when I'm trying to like fuck with something. Yeah. You know, it's one of my first ones.
It's fun. I used to like not have it. Someone's like, you should get it. It goes like people know me where it's like, I just like fucking sounds up as well. Just,
me
like,
too.
Seeing what happens.
That and Infiltrator. Those are my two. They're kind of similar but different, you know?
I never used Infiltrator. Okay, I gotta check that one out.
It's pretty nuts. Yeah. I use that a lot on Ear Candy synth and stuff like that. Yeah, a lot.
I gotta check that out. Next plugin is a classic reverb plugin here. UAD's EMT 140, their plate reverb.
Oh, plug. Yeah. I like that a lot, actually. The plate's great about it.
What do you normally like to use it on?
Background vocals, actually. A lot of background vocals and guitar. If I'm going for like that, I don't know, just like that certain guitar sound.
That classic like plate reverb
exactly.
sound.
Yeah, it's great. And I like that they have the drive knob on it, so you can really drive the reverb a lot. Yeah. Sometimes I turn the reverb off and just put the drive all the way up and use it as a distortion module.
That's cool.
I've done that before.
I've never done that, but that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, it's a great distortion module. That and the spring reverb. They both have that in the spring. Yeah, definitely plug that one for sure.
Love that one. It sits on my template for both guitars and vocals.
Yeah,
so it's just like there. It's just like turn it on. It sounds great. Yeah, funny enough, you said you had one of these. I wasn't sure. The Bay 1073 preamp. Yeah, it's like I had it on here.
That's so funny. That's. I mean, if it broke tomorrow, hopefully it doesn't. I would buy it again. Yeah. You know, it is the. One of that and the 1170, but that is the sound of my vocals.
Yeah, same.
And my acoustics, I guess.
We have like pretty much the same exact like vocal chain, which is very funny.
Yeah.
What mic do you use? Did you mention that or
the Lawton? What's the name of it? LA. Oh wait.
Yeah.
Wait. Let's take a pause.
I know what you're talking about, but
I always forget because they have so many, and I always forget. And I've had it for so long.
It's Old Faithful.
Yeah, I'll find it. I can never remember the name of this microphone. Yeah. It's so funny. So many people ask me what mic I use because it's like. It sounds great in the vocal. I'm like, oh, it's a Lawton.
It's something. I purchased it at one time.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the LA something.
LA 320?
220. That's
the
it. LA 220.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, on sale right now for $289.
There you go. It's so cheap. That's cheaper than what I got. I think it was like $400. It is such a cheap microphone.
Yeah, crazy.
Considering,
I've heard great things about it too.
But I guess it's that and the 1176 and the 1073. Right, it's everything kind of on top of each other. But the microphone's great, man. I have a SM7B and I hide it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
I have two of them now, and I have to really be like,
I'm down if somebody wants to do passes on it in the back of the room or just do backgrounds. But I'm like, no, let's just record the vocal. Yeah. But I love that microphone. Yeah, it's great.
I mean, that's the thing I think people don't realize enough about is that you can get away with a decent mic, even the $500 range, but with a good preamp. Anyway, enough about that. I'm curious. I don't know how much. It seems like you're not really a big guitar pedal guy. So I'm curious if you've ever used this one, the Chase Bliss, the Mood pedal.
I'm going to say plug. I haven't used it, but only because my friend Dan Garrity, who's amazing, and he's a really good friend of mine, swears by it. Yeah. And he's sent me things, he sends me loops sometimes. What's that guitar thing? I was like, it's Chase Bliss. So I've heard it in action. Yeah. And I know how sick it is. And I've thought about it. That's the one pedal. That's so funny you said, but that's the one pedal I've thought about getting. Oh. Because I'm just it is it does a really cool thing.
I mean, do you have any outboard synths that you use at all?
No, I mean I have a bunch of MIDI synths. Yeah, a bunch of MIDIs and stuff like that. I'm pretty bare bones, dude. I think people be surprised when they come to studio how. I mean, I have cool shit, but it's I don't have a lot of things. I just know what I want, and I just go for it in the box. Yeah. And that's kind of how I learn, so I don't know.
Dude, you can get such great sounding shit in the box.
Yeah, it's just
Serum is amazing.
Yeah, Serum is amazing. The True Bundu, Vital. Yeah. What else am I using right now? Omnisphere. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Omnisphere is great because it's actually it's a sampled synth.
Yeah, it's a sample, so it sounds like a Juno.
Yeah, it's a Juno. Yeah. They're sampling the Juno. Yes. It is a Juno, you know, that whatever they're doing on there,
so good. I know. I have my Juno here.
Yeah, which is great, you know.
I just because we were talking about, I'm a player. I like to have things, but I was bringing up with guitar pedals with synths. Because running synths through guitar pedals, especially I have my Mellotron there. Yeah, it's the Mellotron so much fun.
Yeah, it's super dope.
It's just to run through a pedal and just play and
yeah, that's what I've thought about doing. Is that it's rerouting the audio through my DAW back in and then back into the DAW. Through the Chase Bliss and then back in. And I might still do it actually, but that is I would say plug. Even though I don't have one, I know how sick it is.
You know how sick it is. Yeah, dude, sick. Next plugin is the one that we ask on every, and I know you already brought it up a little bit. Yeah. But CLA vocals.
Yeah, plug. You give me all. I don't have any unplugs. I'm a lover, not a hater. Plug. I mean, I'm not ambassador user because people don't really care at the end of the day. No. But it is one of those plugins you have CLA vocals on there. Yeah. But it does sound good.
What do you normally like to do with it on it?
I'm trying to think because I have it saved as a preset I made for it a while ago of my own, and it just works on my vocals. I have a feeling if I ever change my vocal. If I change one thing in my vocal, it's probably gonna go because it's probably just doing enough to what I have already going. Yeah, that it's accentuating that. Does it make sense?
No. This is what I found. Right, now that I have a vocal chain that it's I'm getting so much color. Yeah. From a tube microphone, the preamp, now the 1176 is that now when I put CLA vocal on it, I'm oh. Now it's too much, but then there's times when it's I'll work with people and they'll send me a vocal they recorded, and I'm especially with an SM7, yeah, it's oh, the CLA vocals is needed. Yeah, it's
it's not doing a lot. Right. It's not my main thing, right? I just kind of think I walked through my vocal chain before, but also I found that people like it because they know it.
It's the familiarity.
And they're used to it, and I think a lot of artists that's the first plugin they get. Yeah. So even though I'm not using it in the way they're using it, they just know that sound. Yeah. And honestly, for the general public, I think also they get used to whatever that is because it's been used on so many records in the past. I don't know. So for me, I like it. I totally understand if somebody hates on it, though. I do understand the other side of it. You know what I mean? I get both.
It's a taste thing at the end of the day, right? And it's it hypes, and some people don't like hype vocals, and some people love hype vocals.
I fall in the gray area on it, but I do use it almost every day. So I will say plug, but I also understand the opposing argument of that. You know?
No, listen. I've said it a million times, on the podcast. I go back and forth on it all the time. It's so project dependent for me now. Yeah. Where it's I'm doing this honestly it's a paid thing that's kind of a Rocky project thing, and it's if CLA vocals is not on that vocal, it doesn't sound right.
Yeah. It has to have it.
But it's the artists, they're they love all those records that basically CLA mixed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
this
exactly.
is what a vocal sounds like to me. Yep. So I'm okay, then I'll just throw that on there. That's what you want. Last plugin, again, for our listeners, it's usually pretty widely used plugins. And we're actually going to stick with CLA vocals because I know, not CLA vocals, but CLA here because I know you're a bass player. So I was curious your take on CLA bass.
Unplug.
Unplug. You don't like it?
I don't really use that much, and I don't love it.
Okay.
It's like fine. I just find that like when I use it, my regular, like I have like the 1073 plugin that I have on it, and I have like again the Slate Virtual Mix Rack. I have like a bass setting that I've kind of like made,
like, done for yourself,
and it just sounds infinitely better when I do that than with the CLA bass. It's not like in a pinch I'll use it. It's not like I won't even open it, but I'm just like like why would I when I have this other stuff already?
Right, I know how to get to what I want.
I have the MPEG thing, and I just have things I can do faster with it. You know, so it's like not really my favorite. It is good. But it's just not the thing I use. I don't love it.
I'm curious. Well, speaking of like the Slate stuff, like what's like the sauce on your little Slate preset there? That you got?
There's that. What's the red one in there? The red module.
Oh, it's like the preamp, like thing. Yeah, I know what it's called, but I know what you're talking about.
It's a really cool one. I use that in the bass, and then they have like the LA2A kind of thing in there, which I like a lot. Although recently I've been using the UAD one more, but I still use that one a lot. And then they have like a 76 compressor kind of thing in there too that I'll throw in there. It's funny, I still use even though I have the 76, and that's in my. I know that's in the bass. It's called like fat bass setting, and I fuck with it.
Yeah, it's great.
And it just makes the bass sound fat. You know, if I'm doing live bass, and a lot of times I'll do live bass. And I'll take out the low end, I'll use it as top bass, and then I'll have a sub bass underneath it, and that's really making my bass tone.
Right.
So a lot of times I'm looking for more of that saturation on top of the live bass.
When you're laying with the sub bass, like is that like a Serum thing you like to use? Or
I've made a Serum preset that I named it sub layer, I think, and it's literally just like a kind of a subby sign bass that I put underneath a lot of my live basses to make it punch more, make it feel more modern. Right. You know.
What's the process there? Is it like you're like writing it in, or you like I sometimes will just like drag the bass and it'll convert it into MIDI?
Yeah, that's what I just use Melodyne usually, and I convert to MIDI. Yeah, that's usually what I do. And I'll just use a committee, and they'll just go and edit it.
Edit it after.
And if there's like big disco hops, like slap, I won't do that. Like it just it's certain notes to accent it. You know what I mean? Sometimes, but usually it's on the whole bass line.
Yeah, and just like really locking it in.
Really lock it in, and you mute it and unmute it, and it's like, oh, well, it sounds more modern now. You know what I mean? It just has that sub.
I'm waiting for someone to make a plugin that basically like just does that.
I know, me too.
Right,
I think that would be a great idea.
Yeah, it's just like a sine bass. That's just like, I just want the sub and just like follow the MIDI. Like, I just want to be able to like put the bass on there and it's like almost in real time, like have it follow what it should be.
I wish I had a plugin that did that.
Yeah. Well, dude, I've taken up so much of your time here.
Ditto.
This has been such a... Shut up. I don't have a session today. I'm actually going to Future Music. You know Future Music in Highland Park?
I haven't been there.
Yeah, it's like a little like music shop in Highland Park. But I just bought that Hofner bass, so I'm going to bring it there to get set up.
Heck yeah.
Didn't come with flat wounds.
Really?
Yeah.
Isn't that like the sound of the Hofner? Yeah, that's like why you buy one, I feel like.
Yeah. So I'm going to get... I mean, I was always going to bring it in to get reset up anyway, so...
Yeah.
I'm going to do that. Anyway, but I've taken up too much of your time here. We've been ending the podcast. If there's any kind of advice that you want to give aspiring producers out there.
Oh, I would say be patient. Don't have an ego. You know, don't be too critical of yourself either. And just make music with people that you get along with and make you feel good. Because the most success I've had with people is in music is just from working with people that I like. Honestly, like I know it sounds quite a cliche at this point, but I can't drive that home enough. Just like if somebody doesn't make you feel good in the session, don't work with them again. If you love somebody in the session, even if it's a smaller thing or whatever, just keep finding that thing and like keep doing it. I feel like that's where the most success comes.
Just because it's cliche doesn't mean it's not true.
It's cliche for a reason, I feel like, you know? So I feel like that's like the best advice.
I'm going to go on record and say I second that advice because that's pretty much the exact advice I give people too. It's just like I tell people, it's like keep hitting on that button, like, and you'll get greatness with like your friends. And it's honestly, success is so much sweeter.
It is.
When you get it with your friends.
Oh, dude, when you have had a song blow up with like people I love, it's so much more fun than when I do like a pitch song and it blows up, which is great too. Don't get me wrong, it's a great feeling. But when you like actually can like have fun with your buddies, like oh man, it's so much more fun.
Yeah, it's so much sweeter. Well, dude, Joe, thank you so much for doing this podcast. This was such an amazing conversation, and well, thank you to you, and thank you to our listeners.
Thank you guys. It was an honor being on. This was so fun,
dude. Thank you. Take care, guys. Thanks for tuning in to Producer Points. Your support means the world to us. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, and share with fellow music enthusiasts. For an encore, check out our Spotify playlist featuring all the songs we've discussed on the show, giving you the perfect soundtrack to your creative journey. Additional audio and video editing for this episode was done by Nathan Rebello. Until next time, this is Justin Gamel.